Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest Digital Defenders, memes versus fascism, disrupting the feed. We'll take a couple of minutes. We'll be starting up in a few in the comments, wherever you are.
We'll take a couple of minutes.
Ooh,
We'll be
there's a
starting
little
up
feedback
in a
somewhere.
few in the
There we go. I had YouTube open in the background. Hey, y'all. Good to see you again. Welcome. My name is Akib Yakub. I'm Chief of Staff at Women's March. It's wonderful to have you all. We have about 5,000 of y'all signed up to be on this training with us tonight. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday night with us for Digital Defenders, Memes versus Fascism. I'm going to take a second to introduce the newest member of our team, Risa, who's coming in from the West Coast. Risa, come on up. Risa is our new digital organizer at Women's March and will be with y'all through the Digital Defender journey and other programs. Welcome, Risa.
Hi, I'm really excited to join you all tonight and to be a part of this incredible program, doing incredible work to work on digital disinformation and create an environment that we can all learn how to be better organizers from our desktops.
Amazing. Thank you, Risa. So Risa will be hanging out with y'all. Y'all will have access to Risa's email and things like this as we keep building. Once you join our Digital Defender Slack, Risa will be communicating with you, and we'll be making a lot of really good trouble together. So really look forward to building with all of you. And now I'll transition a little bit, talk about Digital Defenders and what we're getting into tonight. I think we all have seen memes. We've all seen the spread of disinformation and misinformation through memes. We've all laughed our deep belly laughs through memes. And we've also seen a lot of folks in our lives go down the wrong paths, right? Get a lot of wrong and misleading information through online shareable content. So tonight, I am so excited to have, again, Dr. Hahner and Dr. Woods with us to talk about memes and to talk about the power of disinformation and misinfo. So, and a little bit of snip dip. I don't know what snip dip is, but we're going with it. Dr. Woods and Dr. Hahner are literally the meme ladies. They wrote about this topic, they've studied this topic. And when I got introduced to them both, I want to say 5 years ago, y'all were introduced to me as the meme ladies. So you'll forever be in my heart as that. And I'm so excited for the training we got in store tonight and for all the knowledge y'all will impart. I'm going to turn it over to the two of you and we'll see everybody back. I'll see everybody back at the end of the call.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for being here. I see Dr. Hahner has already updated her bio as meme lady. We love that. It's super incredible. I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thank you for taking time on a Tuesday, maybe an afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. We're looking in the comments and the chat. It's so great. It's one of our favorite things to do here is chat with you all as part of the Digital Defenders team. My name is Heather Woods. I am a technology strategist and scholar. My background is in community resilience training. I do some strategy support for digital advocacy movements. And I'm really invested in building a cyber force for good and positivity. We want to first thank Women's March again for being here today, inviting us to be here today, and also for facilitating a conversation. We want to thank you again. We know that there's a lot of things that you can do with your time. Literally, as people who study the internet, we know that there are, you could be doom scrolling right now. And instead, you're here building community with us, building out the collective. We're really grateful for that. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Hahner, who is my partner in crime, co-author, and a similarly invested tech strategist and scholar. Dr. Hahner, things that you'd like to say?
Yeah, hi all. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. Heather and I have been working on memes together for a combined almost 20 years now. And so that means that we are really excited to share what we know with you and be able to equip you with the tools to continue the movement through all forms of digital communication. So with that, we want to welcome you to tonight's version of Digital Defenders. Our goal for this evening is for you to understand the role of memes on the internet in terms of digital communication, as well as how memes facilitate the spread of disinformation or negative ideas. So far, over the course of many Digital Defenders trainings, we have taught you how to be more safe in the way that you engage in line. We've taught you how to build community. We've taught you a whole bunch of different tasks. Tonight's lesson, and to be sure, you can drop in for one lesson and it will be a self-sustained unit. Or if you've been with us in all of these trainings, this should feel like a natural outgrowth of those lessons. But either way, we're excited to have you here tonight, and everything you need to complete tonight's course should be all in one. Tonight, we want to take a deeper dive into memes and to understand how memes can be useful to organizing. We know that social media can be a source for good, a medium for connection, and a means of uniting people around shared values. And so we want to fight back to return the digital commons to people who want to invest in the public good. And we know that what brings us together tonight is a deep desire to overcome the sheer flood of disinformation and to have some communication measures that we can use to battle back against those forms of disinformation. So as we get started, let's check in with the chat. Where do you see memes most heavily? Are you mostly seeing memes on Facebook? Are you someone who goes to Reddit for your meme culture? Where or what platform or location are you most likely to see a meme on? I see Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yes, for sure. And I should say, when we say meme, we both mean still images, but also moving images. Anything that replicates online and travels in a virulent fashion is a meme for our purposes this evening. Okay, we're seeing Facebook, messages from your kids, definitely. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, great. Facebook, lovely. Wonderful. Instagram, Blue Sky, and Reddit. Awesome. So you see memes in the same places that we see memes. Awesome. Substack memes. I had not thought of Substack memes, but here we are. That's fantastic. All right. Stories on Facebook and Instagram. Get my memes from Mastodon and Lemmy. Wonderful. Facebook and our local Democratic Comm folks. Wonderful. So you all are immersed in the world of memes, and you know for sure all of the different ways that memes circulate in your various platforms, how often you see memes. We know more generally that memes are central to the language of the internet, right? That if we want to have a stronger voice online, that we use memes to have the amplification tools necessary to make that message go farther. So tonight, we want you to understand the role of memes in digital culture. We want to teach you that memes are useful to organizing, and that we know that social media can be a place to fight back and defend our digital communities. In order to do this effectively, tonight's plan is in 3 parts. The first part is to understand the role of memes in our digital landscape. The second is to learn what makes memes effective. And the third is to both create memes and then learn how to direct those messages to a particular target audience. Our biggest takeaway in these trainings is that your voice matters. When we are sitting in front of our platforms and thinking, my gosh, there's just a flood of disinformation and there's no way that I can break through that kind of chaos, we're here to tell you nothing could be further from the truth. Your voice matters in this particular moment. And the more of us that get together to share the truth, to speak on behalf of democracy, to speak on behalf of those or with those who are being targeted right now, we have the capacity to make an impact in our digital sphere. And so if nothing else, remember from tonight's training that your voice matters. And we will teach you the digital tools tonight to make your voice stronger and more resonant with more people's. So the goal is to allow your voice to have more influence over time. Our specific lesson for tonight's training is that learning the language of the internet, aka memes, is key to messaging success. That means if you want your message to reach more people, you need to understand how memes help ideas move online. By the end of the tonight, we hope you'll be able to accomplish several learning objectives. First, we want you to understand why and how groups like the alt-right and white supremacist collectives are using the internet to radicalize our neighbors and loved ones, spread false information, and divide us. We wanted you to learn how communication and advocacy practices are shaped by digital modes of communication like memes. So there we want you to learn both the history of how memes help build the internet and then learn how memes can be used for good or for ill. We want you to discover how to make memes using quick, easy, available tools, as well as improve the outcomes of your memes. We want you to engage collective strategies to resistance, right? Learning how to make memes that forward the movement is a form of collective resistance. And we want you to learn how to apply your knowledge to take back our digital space. In all of these things, we know by the end of the tonight, you should feel that you have the communication strategy to make your voice stronger. And with that, I'll let Heather take it over.
Thanks for that, Dr. Hahner. I want to share a little bit more about the landscape that we're operating in. And I also want to affirm something that Dr. Hahner said, which is that I think we are in the 5th or 6th session of Digital Defenders for 2025. And if you're interested, you can access earlier versions or earlier lessons of this digital defense program. I believe they're on YouTube. We can connect you with those on the Women's March. Goodness, what is it called? The platform where we all connect together, Dr. Hahner.
Slack. Yes. Sorry.
Slack. You can be an expert and study platforms for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, and still have times where they fall out of your head. We can connect you there. But I also want to share, you need not have participated in any of those beforehand to get something out of today. So if you did attend, welcome back. We're glad that you're here. If you haven't yet, know that these slides will be available in the future if you ever want to go back. And we also have our previous recordings available if you're interested. We'll share a little bit more about that towards the end. So again, you don't have to have been to any of our other digital defense lessons, but if you find that these are helpful to you and you want to dig a little bit deeper, we do have those available. We've covered everything from basics for information security to why the internet and privacy are collective. We had a session on being part of a collective or a besties group online. All of those things are available and they all fit together. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker over some of the content that we've already talked about, just to give you some background history, a little bit of background knowledge before we dig in deep. So again, there are some things that you probably already know, but I'm going to repeat them here because it bears repeating, that digital media is a powerful tool for communication in the modern moment. It is perhaps one of the most important tools or the most important tool for communication for this collective. So if you are here, you know that, and congratulations for being part of the cyber force that is taking back our digital spaces. We also know that in addition to being a powerful tool for communication more generally, it's particularly effective for political communication. And we've seen that in our research, we've seen that in our advocacy practice, we've seen that in our teaching and instruction. Political communication is increasingly digital, and we mean that in lots of different ways, from text-based communication to the platform-based communication that allows us to come together right now, and also in memes. So memes become an important form of political communication, in part because they are so short. They pack a lot of information into a very small footprint. Oftentimes they're funny or they're specific to an audience. And so those memes become an important form of political communication. Another thing that we do want to share with you is that although we hope to empower you to create memes that are responsive to your community and context, no, you can't do this alone, right? And that's why we're building up a cyber force, a collective of people, because we individually don't necessarily have our hands on the levers of power that make decisions about what we see on, for instance, a Facebook feed or on X/Twitter or Blue Sky, right? But what we can do is use the language of the collective and get collective momentum through a meme that can help burst through some algorithmic management of Facebook and other feeds. And if you're interested in more about that, we did a deep dive on platforms and how choices that platforms make and the people who own platforms make influence how we communicate online. So again, our takeaway is you can make a difference. If you hear nothing else, please leave knowing that you can make a difference, but you can't do it alone, and strategy matters. So let's do another check-in. I'm seeing that there's some conversations about where folks are coming from. Could I also hear, maybe you could tell us a favorite meme of yours or a recent meme that made you smile? Any favorite memes? I'm going to share a couple with you of my favorites a little later today. Okay, we got some corgi content. There's a corgi in my household, so absolutely. Canada view of Mount Rushmore. Ooh, embroidery memes. Yeah. TikTok CEO, Wolf of Wall Street memes. Tariff memes with the penguin. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay, all of that. Oh, yep, good. Cat memes. We love a cat meme. They're classic for a reason, right? So perhaps some of the earliest memes were cat memes. Very good. Okay. So it seems like you all are not only embedded in spaces where memes happen, but you've got some memes down. We want to talk a little bit more about memes and meme culture, including defining memes now and in the future. So as we mentioned before, memes are a key way that political communication occurs. And one of the reasons why we wrote our book, Make America Meme Again, The Rhetoric of the Alt-Right, is that we were really interested in how a particular communication format, the meme, influenced politics. And we found that while there were scholars having conversations about this, a lot of folks didn't think that memes were that impactful. And this was we started writing the book, I think, in 2017. We published it around 2019, ahead of in between some election cycles. And at the time, it was a relatively provocative thing to say that memes were sort of the building block of political communication, because people would see these things and say, well, that's not reasoned discourse, or that's not civic discourse. That's not like in-depth argumentation. And what we learned is that there was some pretty significant in-depth civic argumentation happening in memes. And also sometimes there wasn't. Sometimes memes just turned information or misinformation or disinformation into like a weapon. And so our book really showed that using that 2016 election as a case study, a great deal of our conversations about politics happened on social media, where many of us got our news online. We deliberated about issues online. We formed and nurtured relationships online. We also learned in the process of writing our book, and then after the book had quite a significant sort of response, is that people were using memes to have really nuanced conversations about policy making. They were using them to persuade, sometimes to intimidate others, and sometimes to prevent democratic conversation. We also found research that showed that foreign agents used memes to influence political conversations and ultimately political elections. So ultimately, in this way, memes can be weaponized. And you're seeing a couple of the memes that we studied on the right here of President Trump, first as a representation of Pepe the Frog, which is in the top right, and then the deplorables, which, if anybody remembered, is actually a re-articulation or a reclaiming of a then candidate Hillary Clinton's words about Trump supporters being a basket of deplorables. And what you see happening here is the Trump collective sort of taking that over and saying, yes, that's what we are. And so we spent quite a long time sort of showing how the far right and the alt-right was using memes in many ways better than the left or folks in the center. We said that the far right and the alt-right were sort of ahead in a lot of different ways. And so what we wanted to do is think about having a resistance based on memes, knowing what we know now. In addition to these memes, we also studied insurrection-related memes, Gamergate and Pizzagate memes. Those are sort of like in the weeds, so I'm not going to go super in depth. What I'll tell you right now, the things that we have our eye on are AI memes. We're seeing AI memes coming from the president and the White House. We're seeing what is a technical term called shit posting, which is what it sounds like, posting a bunch of shit. But it's happening on official channels, including the president and White House's social feeds. We're seeing deep fakes, which are made up versions of real people. And we're also seeing people turning memes and shit posts into actual government offices. So Doge, if you didn't know, is actually like a haha internet joke that references Doge, like the dog, right? And so there's a whole sort of like, if we believe that memes were important for political communication in 2017, 2019, 2021, all those times, we're now absolutely convinced that they are important. So then again, over the past few months, we've seen a lot of memes that encourage people to divest from the political process. So we saw that in the past few elections, memes that encourage people not to vote, people that memes that encourage division and infighting. And so, like, if you see people infighting over a meme, that could be a strategy, right, to divide us. And we saw that people were being influenced by memes to not vote at all, right? And so some really powerful stuff happening with memes. And so it's good that you're here to see it. It's good you're here to unpack it, and then we'll talk about ways to make memes more effective in the future. So let's do one more check-in, and I'd like to hear from the chat. What about memes might make them useful for building a resistance? What about memes might make them useful as tools for building a resistance? Ooh, and I'm seeing some really great questions in the chat. Asking if memes are powerful communication tools, why are we looking at slides instead of memes? Forthcoming, friend. I'm also seeing in the chat, can we use memes as effectively as the right? Not yet convinced. Forthcoming. Oh, this chat is so smart. Y'all are locked in. Okay, and I'm also seeing answers to this question. Simple direct message for short attention spans. Amen, right? So we're fighting against, TikToks that are 10 to 90 seconds long, right? They are short and digestible. So we have the same sort of movement time, high in attention. They show that we have a sense of humor. They can make you think. Easy to remember. An image says 1,000 words. When designed well, they spread quickly. Yeah, easy to remember. You all are on top of it. So I think these are all sorts of things that do make them useful for building a resistance. And I want those of you who are participating in the chat, keep going. You all are bringing up a bunch of really good, important information. And these are some of the tools that we're going to talk about why memes are effective and why some are more effective than the other. Let's maybe move then to the next section, which is what works and what doesn't. So thinking very, very high level, the best memes tend to be timely. And by timely, I mean they respond to a particular cultural context and they do it quickly. Part of the reason that memes are not always effective in institutional contexts, like a corporation, a business, government more generally, is that the process of vetting an idea or a communication takes quite a bit of time, right? But sometimes if you wait too long, you miss the part of being part of a meme and you miss the cultural conversation because the internet moves so quickly that if you're not in, you're out, right? And so it's better to be strategic and specific and only engage with certain memes instead of trying to engage with all of them, right? And we'll give you some strategies for how to manage that. And this is related. The second thing that a best meme tends to be is relevant. So in addition to on time, it's relevant not only to cultural context, but to the community in which we are trying to reach or trying to speak. Not all memes are going to speak to everybody. And in fact, the best memes tend to be the ones that speak to a particular community within a particular context. So we're looking for timeliness, we're looking for relevance. The third thing is they tend to be self-referential. And by that, I mean, there tends to be sort of like, for lack of a better word, an inside joke, right? They take up an idea or a concept that somebody else has already talked about, and it creates almost like a sense of intimacy or a sense of shared background. It's like, hey, I understand what you're talking about here, right? I understand that there's something happening here and you're speaking to me. And that form, we call it in the biz identification. It's the first step to getting somebody to listen to you and be part of your team, right? So having some self-referential components are important. The third thing it is that it is aware of itself. It's either sincere or it doesn't try to be sincere at all, right? It tries to be sort of like hip. It tries to be, and it is hip, right? It's like really timely and relevant, or it says, forget that, I'm just going to be cringy, right? Or the word from like, I don't know, a couple of years ago was chuggy, right? Or just like the idea that like, I'm not going to try to be cool because I know I'm never going to be cool. And by not being cool, I am cool, right? So it's either sort of like cool in crowd, not being cool because I never could be, and that's my own lane of coolness, right? Or some of the best memes are totally unhinged. And by that, I mean, I don't know where they came from. It's not always for me. They're just bananas, right? And the reason why the unhinged part matters is because it's hard to sort of look away. And there's also sort of just like a devil may care sort of approach to it, right? In any event, the best memes also tend to be, we say like punctual or pithy or short, some of the things that you talked about, easily digestible, sort of compact. But for all of the reasons that we talked about above, using memes can be risky. They just can be, right? And part of it is for the reason that one of our commenters said, which is that memes sometimes come with context that we don't always understand, right? Which means that that can be risky. We could be forwarding a message or an ideology that we don't approach or approve of. They may be risky because we're not always on the very edge of online culture. So we're always going to risk looking a little bit cringy, a little bit uncool. And they're also risky because if they're timely and relevant and they're pithy, you can't like focus group a meme in the same way, which means there's not always a massaging of strategy that happens. So we're letting you know, even though we're going to recommend using memes strategically, it comes with a risk. And that's just the name of the game with a meme. Okay. We do want you to remember that your best influence is local. Your best influence is local. And by that we mean, unless you are an influencer, right? And if you are, we're interested in chatting, right? We think actually everyone is an influencer, and you don't have to have dozens or thousands or hundreds, or I don't know, those didn't happen in sequential order, but you know what I mean. You don't need to have a massive following to be a successful influencer in your community. And in fact, our engagement with local communities and community resilience actually shows the opposite to be true. That people in smaller organizations and communities can have the most significant impact because they know each other, and there's a level of trust and a level of shared interest or affinity already built up, right? I also want to share, oh, my lights just turned. I'll have to figure out how to manage that here in a minute. That some of the less successful memes tend to not just not be timely, relevant, specific, etc., but they tend to not be directed to an appropriate audience. And so some engagement with an audience is going to be important. And knowing who your audience is and why you're trying to talk to them is going to be important in the future. Okay. So let's maybe move on to a couple of examples. And I gave us more examples than I think we're going to have time for, because I just wanted to have them available to us. So I'll probably move a little bit faster through some than the other. You might have seen these from Nina Turner. I thought that they were really interesting because one was, I think, May 23rd. One was before then. It's the same messaging in the same location, and it's three things. Somebody's saying, healthcare please, using a version of some internet speak called a Wojak. It's a tired version of a Wojak, and it's the repetitive nature of this meme that's successful. Any of us can do this. Any of us can do this, right? And the pithy, the shorthanded nature, the repeated nature of this all demonstrate what memes are good at, right? Saying a lot in a little space, saying it over and over again, and using shorthands that the internet already knows. So in response to Blackburn saying, we're going to build a big, beautiful golden dome, Nina Turner responded, please give us healthcare. Like, we don't, what are you on about? Healthcare, please. Healthcare, please. Right? In response to Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about AI or something, Nina Turner is saying, healthcare, please. That's it. That's all. Healthcare, please.
Yeah.
Healthcare, please. This is another good example of another meme section that we've seen from our Antifa colleagues and peers. You'll see maybe in the middle there, this is I think from a news organization video where somebody is saying, I have soup for my family, right? It's just soup for my family. And you can see here, somebody on TikTok has created one on the right, the one on the left. And if you don't know what that means, think about what you might need to carry soup for your family for in a public place, right? Under what conditions you might need to use that for defense, perhaps. Let's do maybe one more, Dr. Hahner. Yeah, okay, so for any hockey fans in here, our colleagues McVeigh and Greenwald just wrote a really interesting essay about how gritty I don't even know what kind of creature gritty is, but has become an alt-right icon. And so you can see here how something as like irreverent as a mascot can become a meme when used effectively. So if we think about, maybe let's skip a couple, I think I've got 3 or 4 more. We'll skip some Lucy Dacus work. Oh yeah, this is some great work that we've seen from the Women's March using, is it Labubu? Am I saying that right?
It's Labubu.
Yeah. Yeah. The formula here that we can see is having an icon like a gritty or a soup for my family person, right? Adding a central message and adding a little bit of humor. So I wonder, before we get to maybe some meme making, which I think comes next, if we could think through some of the questions that we have on the screen, like who is the target for these images? Why was Women's March posting this? What is their main takeaway? How do these memes forward the movement or shape the audience's understanding? Does anybody have an answer to any of these? I'm looking in the chat here. Oh yeah, Woody Guthrie, this machine kills fascists. So that's a meme in and of itself, right? And it's a pre-digital meme.
Yeah.
Oh, I love gritty is gritty. And that's it.
Love it.
More
I'll
stories.
answer some of your questions, Heather, which is that this image is super important because Labubu is causing international sensation right now. It is probably the most traveling internet meme right now. So it gathers a bunch of audience. And second, right, it's connecting Labubu to specifically the clowns in our current administration, right? So it pulls in that clown metaphor that we're all using, and it creates a message that is consistent for a particular target audience, which is people who follow the Women's March.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all want to make some memes? Let's make some memes. All right. Thank you all so much. All right, let's go ahead and dig into what we do to make a meme. Now, I recognize that some of you in this chat will have no idea what it means when I say let's make a meme. And others of you in the chat will be like, this is most basic way of making memes I've ever heard. So please understand, I'm trying to fit somewhere in the middle. We are not advocating for the creation of AI memes right now. We will be focusing on old school memes. But a lot of you are responding to the memes we've posted, posting criticism, saying they could be stronger in other ways. That's awesome. That's the kind of mindset that you need, that if you make a meme, you need to be able to make it stronger and better for your goals. All right, so let's dig in here. We want you to go to one of the following meme template sites. And these are internet locations where it is set up for you to make a meme. Okay, so we could go to mflip.com, iloveimg.com, makeameme.org, or Canva if you have an account. Okay, and I see some of you are still pushing the let's make Harvard meme. So if that's the topic that we want to go with, support for Harvard, I'm down with that. Okay, so the process of making a meme goes as follows. First, you select a topic, right? And that topic can be support for Harvard. That could be support for particular reproductive health policies. That could be focused on climate change. That could be focused on undocumented folks and how they're being treated by the administration and ICE, right? Any of these topics are useful. The second thing you want to do once you've selected a topic is select a target audience. And that is the group that you most want to speak to. Now, I'm going to go back to something that Heather said earlier, which is your best influence is still local. So I know that some of you want to be able to use memes to reach the other side, but realistically, it's more likely that we will galvanize our allies with our meme messaging. That does not mean that some of your memes couldn't impact the other side. One of the cool things about memes is that they travel to different audiences. But your goal in making a meme is to craft a message to a particular specific target audience. Then you want to have a goal for that meme. Do you want them to think differently or act differently? Those are the two basic goals. Do you want the audience member to think differently or act differently? Then, of course, find an image that fits that goal and that target audience on one of those meme sites listed above. And then the next step is to come up with a message for that meme that considers the key takeaway that you would like to share or amplify. right? So let's say we really love the phrase, "this machine kills fascists," right? From Woody Guthrie, right? And I see we have people asking if that's a pre-digital meme. Yes, political cartoons, images that traveled in a virulent fashion, those are all pre-digital memes. So if you took that phrase and you attached it to an image that you found on one of these free template sites, you could easily then come up with a meme that shares that idea. So our goal for you for the next few minutes here, and Heather and I will keep chatting, is go to a meme making site, select an image, include a caption, and save it to your phone. So we'll wait to see how you're doing. So your goal right now is to make a meme, to go to one of the following websites, select a topic and a target audience, and come up with a message for that target audience that you think changes their perspective or perhaps their actions. Right? So I'm a professor. One of the things I do all the time is make memes for my class. We start out most class days with a meme. And if nothing else, while my memes are pretty pathetic, really, I know that over time I will get better at making memes. And our goal tonight is not to be perfect, but to create a meme and come up with ways of sharing that meme for our target audience. Okay, so if you've saved your memes, your next step would generally be to workshop that meme, right? To ask friends, hey, is this any good? Is this any better? But before we get to that discussion, let's check in using the chat. How easy was it for you to make a meme? How easy was it? And did you feel like you could reach your goals easily? And I'll freely admit, I don't know if that I'm the best at making all memes, but I do try and reach my goals as best I can, and have so far been fairly successful. So using the chat, go ahead, Heather.
We might want to wait just a little bit longer. People
That's
are still navigating.
Yes. Should I go back to the last slide so you have directions? Let's do
You
that.
go back one more.
Yeah.
And also, yeah.
Sorry about
that. My right image. Yeah. So a couple of things I also want to share. You can do this on any device. Doesn't have to be a phone. Doesn't have to be. It could be a tablet. It could be a computer, etc. All of those things are fine. People are asking about size, and there's some flexibility in terms of measurements. One thing that you might think about, and one of the reasons we asked you at the very beginning where you're seeing memes, is some memes are going to look better or more well suited to one platform over the other, right? So like Instagram, for instance, has different types of sizes and directions. If you're hoping to post an Instagram story, you're going to want it to be vertical versus like a square or a rectangle. The good news is we're sort of doing bootstrap memes here. So you can make something and then like tinkering with the size later is certainly possible.
Yeah. And for those of you using Canva, if you search meme in the search bar, you'll find a number of templates on Canva. And I'm a huge Canva user.
Okay,
right?
So
go ahead.
We had a book club listening. Some
Yes.
folks are still brainstorming. Some's already done an epic meme. Yeah, let's maybe wait a couple more minutes and then
Absolutely.
we can reflect.
I see. Have your teenager help? Yes, absolutely. Recruit those children into your needs.
Oh yeah, Dr. Hahner, I'm seeing a couple of comments of what if I don't want to make a meme and I just want to share it? What would you say to them?
I would say that's a wonderful use of your resources, right? That if you find a meme that you think shares a perspective that you have, right? That's a great time to share that meme. And especially if you share it with a comment or with other hashtags, that can help that message travel further and further to different audiences. Okay, great. Just made one. Needs work, but so cool. Great. I love that you all are exploring and thinking about how you can make memes here. use Snapchat to make your memes. That's awesome too. You can also use Adobe Express. I love it. Coming up with the right phrase is the hardest. It is so hard, right? And so it's really difficult to think of that caption in a quick way. But that's the beauty of the meme, is that you can save it and workshop it over time. Yeah. And posters do have some of the best memes. Great. I'm not sure if there's a way we can share the memes in the chat, but our next slide is going to talk about how to workshop the meme, right? So I know some of you may not be done yet, but we do want to get to the can the left meme questions and a few other questions that y'all have. So feel free to keep working. Remember, this training will be saved on YouTube, so you can come back and pause us and slow us down and yell at us if you want. That's fine. We're good with that. Okay, so we already talked about how easy it is to make a meme. So remember that if you want to improve your memes over time, you have to first practice making memes, right? Your first meme may be genius, but for the vast, vast majority of us, probably not. And so we need to continue practicing making memes and save those images. We also want to then take a look at those memes that we've made with the most critical eye that we have. So all of that critical perspective that you all brought when we were looking at memes, that comes back now to be able to be self-reflective on what needs to change about your meme and how effective it is. If you have a friend that you trust their judgment, I would encourage you to text them your meme and ask them if it meets your goals. Or later, that book club, I'm looking at you, workshop your memes in a group setting to come up with better messages or better visual tactics. We can give you as much insight as you might want to have on memes, but I will tell you right now, getting into a group setting and brainstorming and trusting one another to work through how to make stronger messages over time, that will be more instructive in terms of bettering your meme potential. I love it. Y'all are posting such great comments. I would love to see that. How do you upload it to your phone? You can either take a screenshot or you can save it to your phone. And so those are easy ways to save the images. Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. And I do understand that some of you are saying the workshop process should be shorter so that it's timely. When I say workshop, I mean as quickly as you can so that the message can be timely as well. All right. You sent some to your friends. I love it. Right. Rip at the bottom. I love it. Yes. Wonderful. Excellent. Y'all are so smart. Awesome. Okay. So we've got the basic exercise down. Here's how we make a meme. And in order to make it better, we continue to practice it and we continue to hone the messages in that meme. And again, I realize this is very basic. Some of you are capable of making a TikTok. Some of you are capable of doing fun dances for other people. Whatever your thing is, use those talents to create mimetic content. Okay. I'm going to get Heather in here on Can the Left meme.
Yeah, so as you all are working on memes, we want to share that we are starting off this process with you in the hopes that you'll continue to engage with memes. A couple of additional things I wanted to share because I've seen in the chat, some folks are saying they're having a difficult time coming up with language. Somebody said, I keep a file of notes on my phone, or like I write it down in a journal, things that I want to say. That's a great writer's technique. Like we can recommend doing that too. And if you remember the post of Nina Turner that literally just says, healthcare, please, that's 2 words. So consider trying to think about, memes are short, they're to the point. How many words does your idea need to succeed? And can you get it down to the lowest possible amount? Because you can do a lot with very little by connecting image, text, references, etc. We're, I think, about 50 minutes into the conversation, and I know you all are still working on memes. We're watching the chat as well, but we want to transition to some of the Q and A. One of the things that we saw in the chat, I want to say it was from maybe an Alexa notes that this is cynical of me, they say, but are we actually able to use memes as effectively as the right? I'm hoping yes, but I'm not yet convinced. The right has this super cool, sarcastic vibe going that caught on. Yeah, so there's actually a joke in meme studies, which yes, you can do studies in memes, but also jokes online. And it has become a meme in and of itself called the left can't meme. And basically the idea is that because the left is not connected with the people, it is not able to engage with memes at the level that the right is. And, you know, there's some credence to that. Like, we have seen some kind of cringy, less than productive meme making from folks on the left that is just, it's not connected to the people. It's not relevant. It's not really speaking to the issues of the day. It's not taking into consider the context of what the people need, but also like the left in and of itself is a people's organization, a people's collective. And so I would argue that the left can in fact meme. We have some really interesting research that shows that memes have become a political battleground between the left and the right. And the far right jokes that the left can't meme, but the left does meme well when it recognizes a couple of things. First is that the left is not a singular thing. It's not a monolith. People have different opinions, approaches, and identities, and those things differ, right? And memes have to take those into account, which is why we encourage you to have influence that's local, specific to a community, instead of trying to speak for everybody at all times, right? The left can also meme when it focuses on building capacity and collectivity, doing the things that we're doing here instead of achieving PR perfection or forcing a singular perspective. So one meme that bombed pretty badly was from former President hopeful Hillary Clinton, right? Who I think what she said was, you should Pokemon go to the polls. At the moment, it just didn't really resonate because that was not really, like, she wasn't speaking to the audience in the right way. The audience didn't connect. It was sort of during a Pokemon challenge, but it was too late. It felt like it didn't feel natural or normal. And so, like, that's why we say that these things have to be risky, or they can be risky, but they have to be focused on a particular collective. So our best advice is to think about what we in the biz call ethos. If you've ever heard of the term ethos, ETHOS, which is finding ways to communicate with your community based on your character and your capacity and your collectivity, sharing the values of the people and knowing your audience. So that's one side. I also want to share, to Alexa's point, you're right. There are some things that we cannot and will not do on the left that the right will, right? The right will use. Sometimes being racist or sexist or homophobic or just being violent generally provides a really pithy short message, right? And on the left, we care about nuance. So to some extent, we're not going to use those tools. That's sort of just the game. But we still can use this tools in a different way, in the same way that we ask for healthcare, please, in response to building a golden dome, or healthcare, please, in response to conversations about, AI and Grok, etc. What do we think? I see some more questions. Dr. Hahner, do you see any that you want to pick up?
There was one that I saw here. Just one second. Let me scroll back for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Mary, you pointed out that the Labubu graphic doesn't connect with people over possibly 30 or 40, right? And I think that makes sense, that you need to create memes that direct themselves towards a particular target audience. And that's going to look different for different groups of people, right? It's great to make something that you feel resonates with you, because if it resonates with you, then it's also probably going to resonate to people who are in your orbit, right? Who are watching your feed. It's really important to remember, right, that the goal is to make an impact so that more people take up that message. And so having that emotional resonant core within a meme is really, really helpful. And you're right that there are certain things that the left won't do. Heather's already pointed that out. And so, but we do have a lot more ground in terms of like hope, optimism, a goal for bettering the world and for loving one another, right? Those are wonderful grounds on which to make memes. Maybe they're not as sarcastic and biting as the right, but that doesn't make them any less effective in gathering groups of people. It's the emotional resonance that most connects to the audience. I love that.
I'm seeing a question. Do all memes have to have graphics in them? I would argue that memes don't necessarily have to look any one particular way. We are giving examples of like the standard, we would call like a still meme, a classical meme, maybe a meme that is traditional. This is sort of a meme 101 or 201. I would argue now that a lot of memes are multimedia. Multimedia meaning there's going to be sound, there's going to be text, there's going to be sometimes hidden jokes in the sound and in the text, and then there will sometimes be text on top of the text. So some of my recent research has been about TikTok and memes. That's a little hard to simulate in an hour, and so we wanted to start with the basics, but know that anything that's sort of shorthand, self-referential, that moves messaging quickly, those can be identified as memes. And as you start looking out for them, you'll see them in different formats. I think probably now that you've been through this training, you'll start seeing them more often and you'll see their different forms. One good practice might be to save them to a special folder on a file or on your phone, and then going back through and looking together to see what they have in common. Like, are they shorthand? Do they have a particular type of music? Do they have a particular type of image, etc.? Those sorts of things.
Okay. Right. Okay. Sending one meme to your friend may not necessarily impact them immediately, but we do know based on research that the more people see political memes, that they are influenced by those messages. And that influence is even stronger when they know the person sharing the meme. So there is buckets of research that let us know that memes can be really effective in reaching people, and that can have really negative consequences or hopefully optimistic consequences as well. All right. Okay, let's go ahead then and do our exit ticket for this evening. We like to do this ritual at the end of our classes, what we call an exit ticket. And our exit ticket tonight, which is what is something you learned about memes tonight. So drop in the chat before we close out this evening, what is something you learned about memes tonight? Well, we thank you so much for taking the time tonight to be with us, to learn the basics of how to make a traditional meme and to maybe expand out those ideas and think through what it is that you can use given your creative gifts and talents to make messages that resonate and reach more and more people. So we didn't know that there were website templates, that Canva has a meme template, that if you can do it, anybody can do it. I love that message. Wonderful. Excellent generation sites. Make sure you have a target audience. Wonderful. We thank you so much. We thank you so much for being here. We're so grateful to spend this time with you. Yeah, what they are. Wonderful. Y'all are so smart. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Heather, are you going to make memes later?
I am never not making memes.
This is fair. This is a fair point. Thank you so much to the Women's March. Thank you all.
Amazing. Dr. Hahner, Dr. Woods, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. I made 2 really silly memes from the generators, and I'm bad at this. This is one. You cannot see it, but that's all right. There's a little kid. And my friends better look out because I learned how to make memes.
Yay.
Be tired of me very quickly. I see folks love my shirt. I actually just got this in the mail. This is from our creative director, Kim Russell. Head to womensmarch.com if you'd like your own, feminist versus fascist. We appreciate all of you. Thank you again both so much for your time. We had a bunch of questions about the actions coming up. On June 14, the clown in chief, Donald Trump, fascist in chief, it's his birthday, and he is also throwing himself a dictator-style military parade in honor of himself. And as a result, we will be clowning him. We have grassroots circuses all across the country in every state. Head to womensmarch.com/events or womensmarch.com, and you'll find an action near you. If you want to host an action near you, if you want to bring a grassroots circus to your community to kick out the clowns, head to womensmarch.com, and it's all there. But on that note, we are glad to see you. We're glad to have nearly 2,000 of you on, 1,000 of you on tonight, about 5,000 of you who will get this recording after this call. The recordings will be on the Women's March YouTube channel. Please share it with your loved ones, with your friends, and let's meme on. Take it easy, y'all. Have a good night.